So, I keep thinking about actually telling you guys some stories from prison. I spent 13 years in prison as a corrections officer at a MAX, the worst prison in Canada. And we had a really good time there. It was 99% boredom, followed by, I'd say, like 1% of fun times. And got a few injuries, had about 4 knee surgeries, a back injury, some other health issues and stuff like that begged for me to get out of there. And so I decided to go back to school. But I wanted to share some anecdotes from that place because it was pretty amusing. And I mean, you can take them for what it is. Believe it or not, I mean, really strange things happened in that place. And I went into it and I was like, no way, come on. Like, this guy's hallucinating, that kind of stuff. But no duff, as we used to say. If we had a training thing on, we would, if something real actually took place, we'd say, staff alarm, staff assistance, or whatever, to such and such unit, no duff. Okay, so no duff. Early on when I was dating my wife, working as a exterior patrol officer, mobile patrol, and outside the back of the prison, and my job that night was to actually watch the officer that was going through and checking all the locks. Now they have to do about a kilometer loop, and they have to test about, I'd say probably 50 doors and locks combined. And this one night, I'm sitting there, the officer is 250 meters away on the other side of the corner. He's next to the unit where they actually filmed the prison scenes from A-Team. That's the modern day A-Team, not the old one. So if you haven't seen that movie, it's a pretty good movie. It's filmed in one of our later built units. Now there's a story surrounding that unit too that I was personally involved in too, and maybe I'll share that someday too. But in the meantime, let's get back to this. So I'm watching this guy, and he's on pretty much the far side of the prison. He's got a couple hundred yards between me and him, or a couple hundred meters, whichever way you want to look at it. Yards and meters are almost the same, guys. So So I'm sitting there, I'm watching, and then I'm like, how the heck did he get over to my side of the prison like that? I mean, it was like a minute, and there's like 6 gates. And I see this individual like just trucking. I mean, like somebody walking into the wind. Just dark silhouette of this person. And then I hear on the radio that the officer who's actually doing the lock checks, he's like, okay, such and such, I'm at such and such gate. He's calling in Central, and he's talking, giving them their position. I'm like, okay, this isn't him that I'm looking at. Who is this? And then I actually realized that it was a ghost walking across. And crazy as that sounds, I didn't actually tell anybody about that besides my wife. And like less than a week later, my buddy Bobby, he's on the interior of the complex of Kent Institution, and he is going between units because every hour, and then a couple of random times each night, we would have to walk from unit to unit through the courtyard in order to, do our patrol of the next unit, our walk, as we called them. And he's walking through there. It's about 2 or 3 in the morning, and then boom, there's this phantom walking through the courtyard. And I was like, okay, that's freaking bizarre because I saw the same thing. And then there's Rob. And then there's another guy who actually came to my wedding. Pretty decent guys and everything. I have no reason to believe that they were making this up. I hadn't told them anything about mine, But Ed's working in the control post, and Rob comes in to do his walk in the unit. He gets up on the upper tier, and then he freaking turns and hightails it out. This is how it's related to me. Freaking runs out, and goes back to the other unit. And Ed gets on the phone, and he's like, hey, what the heck happened, and where did you go? And Rob's like, I got up on their unit, and there was this black figure standing there in the hallway. And you got to understand, nobody's out. All of these maximum security inmates, around 300 of them, are locked up for the night. This is like hours past when everybody's out. And there is a huge difference. I mean, there's enough light in these hallways that you can see to walk, you know, and yeah, just ultra creepy. I never would have believed it if we hadn't all gone through the same thing. And later, after I left, I actually heard that they were, or maybe it was around the same time as we were leaving, I was leaving, and heard that there was actually somebody who put together a book of ghost stories from the institution, and the stories numbered somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 to 300 stories last I'd heard, and then I sort of fell out of that loop. So absolutely crazy. What's going on out there? And I mean, it's yeah, it was a fun job in a lot of ways, and a really crappy job in a lot of ways. I'd say it's for those thinking about getting into corrections, do something else. I mean, there's better things you can do. I had some really intelligent friends that worked in there and stuff like that, but they're always at the, they're always, how do I put this? Under the thumb of somebody that wasn't that intelligent. You know, we've got the ladder climbers that are trying to move their way up in positions and stuff like that, and I like to screw over the younger, or the, not the younger, but the lesser ranks and stuff like that. And, your typical politics and stuff. But in recent years, it's just gotten to be absolutely brutal. I mean, the places, prisons, especially, Maxes and stuff like that, and the mediums where all the Skinners were, evil places, just, bad vibe. A lot of very bad people in there, monsters. I mean, I don't even call them animals, because animals don't have those instincts to just randomly kill and maim and torture. Animals kill for food. These guys were monsters. So evil lives.